SWBC Mortgage's Cowboys Crosstalk. Check this out. Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco. Brought to you by A#1 Air, the official HVAC and electric partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Blockchain.com. Trusted by millions. Trusted by America's team. The National Medal of Honor Museum. Join the mission at mohmuseum.org. And by SWBC Mortgage. Customized solutions to help you meet your personal and business goals. Visit SWBC.com. Now, your hosts, Nate Newton and Kevin Gray.
Welcome to Cowboys Crosstalk, the first one of the 2022 NFL season. I'm joined by an all-star panel here, live on 1080 KRLD and on all Cowboys platforms. We are live at the Cowboys Club tonight as we get you ready for week 2 of the National Football League between your Dallas Cowboys and the Cincinnati Bengals. My name is Kevin Gray, 105.3 The Fan, host on the weekends and anytime that you can get me on the air, I'm on 105.3 The Fan. Next to me, to my immediate right, DallasCowboys.com insider, host of the Mixed Shots podcast, which you can hear every day on DallasCowboys.com. He is proud Mizzou alum, Mickey Spagnola. Mickey, good evening to you. Good to see you, sir.
Good to be with you.
Appreciate you joining us. To my immediate right, once again, I go down to, he is a 3-time Super Bowl champion, one of the best to ever do it and put on a Dallas Cowboy uniform. He is, of course, Nate Newton, joining us right here on the Cowboys Crosstalk, as he will be all season long. Nate, good to see you, sir.
Hey,
Let's go. And then further to my right, he is a 2-time Super Bowl champion, proud Dallas Cowboy, and proud Arizona State Sun Devil as well.
Yes.
He is Jim Jeffcoat. Good to see you, sir. Appreciate you joining us on this episode of Cowboys Crosstalk. Jim Jeffcoat joining us tonight.
Great to be here.
Well, let's jump right into it, gentlemen. Let's put the final touches on week 1. The Dallas Cowboys lose 19-3 to Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. We'll eventually get to Cincinnati, but obviously the biggest news of the week coming out of Sunday's game was, of course, the injury to Dak Prescott. Going to be out at least 4 to 6 weeks when it comes to his broken right thumb. Mickey, I'll start with you. Your thoughts on Dak Prescott's injury and how this team now moves forward without its franchise quarterback and leader, now Cooper Rush, stepping in to take over for things for the Cowboys.
Yeah, if it wasn't bad enough, you got beat 19-3 in the season opener, then you lose your star quarterback, as you said, for roughly 4 to 6 weeks. I can't think of a worse start for a season. As a matter of fact, I don't know about you guys, but I can't remember a Cowboys team losing the starting quarterback in the season opener previously. I started looking back, and I just can't find it, you know. I know Danny White got hurt in '86, but that was halfway through the season.
When Lawrence Taylor broke his wrist.
And it was his wrist. It was the same almost thing as the throwing hand. So, that's just got to be the worst start to a season you can have, and you got to survive, right?
Yeah.
They don't cancel the season. No one's feeling sorry for you.
Sure.
Right? So, Cooper Rush steps in, and I think the good thing, though, is that they didn't put Dak on IR, because if you're on IR, not only do you have to miss 4 games, but you can't practice during that 4-game period. Before, when you missed 6 games, 2 weeks before the 6 were up, you were able to go back to practice. So there's no ramp-up time. So that means if you miss 4, chances are, if you hadn't practiced, you're going to miss the 5th one, too, because you're going to practice 2 weeks. That's and he can be around the team. If you're on IR, you can't be around the team. You can't be in meetings. You can't go to participate in practice, and you can't go to the games and help out on the sidelines.
And Mike McCarthy wants him on the headset participating and making sure he's staying engaged with this team. Nate, talk to me about what happens to a team's mindset when its franchise leader goes down, and what that does for a team and what they have to do to move forward to make sure that by the time said franchise quarterback comes back, you all are still on the same page and moving forward as a team together.
I have 2 quick scenarios. But when I first got to the Cowboys, it was bad. Danny White, anyone our starting quarterbacks would go down, it would be bad. But as we turn this thing around with Jimmy, we lose our starting quarterback. We had good, capable backups. And so the world didn't fall in. The world has fell in, Jeffcoat. What do you think?
Well, here's the thing. If you remember that year, we still won the NFC East.
Yes.
And that with the injury. But the thing you have to realize is that you're going to have adversity in football. And next man's got to be up. It's Cooper Rush. There's no question about it. And that's the thing you got to remember. There's going to be – that's just a part of it. I mean, you're going to see what this team is made of.
Yes.
Everybody else has got to step up. And they know the Cooper Rush to help them. That means CeeDee Lamb. That means Noah Brown. You got to get Gallup healthy and things of that nature. Somebody's got to edge. Somebody's got to take them and say, hey, it's time to step up. And you know from playing, when Troy got injured and we had Burline, that wasn't the same player.
That's right.
But we stepped up. Everybody stepped up offensively and defensively. I mean, that's just the way it is.
And it was a former starter, too.
Yes.
It wasn't like a backup guy that you developed, right? And
That's
even
true.
when Troy got hurt in '94, you had Rodney Peete.
Yes, sir.
Right?
That's true.
Although
that,
Jason Garrett had to step up, right?
Yeah, so
On Thanksgiving.
But that's the world we live in with the salary cap. So you have to have help. They have to help Cooper Rush. And like we talked about it before the show, they're going to have to run the ball.
Yes.
They're going to have to be physical. They're going to have to say, hey, we're going to be determined to run the ball because we don't want to put him in situations where he is not comfortable.
And, Kevin, not make the amount of penalties they made
question.
and making it
You
more
can't have 10
difficult
penalties in a game once
on
again.
the quarterback, right?
Exactly. And this team is a little bit different than the one Cooper Rush took over last year when he went on the road to Minnesota, was able to get a critical win for this football team. No Amari Cooper this time around, no Cedric Wilson this time around. How does this team now with Kellen Moore and with the run game you were talking about where it looked like last week when they decided to run the football, they did it and did it well with Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard at times. How now does Kellen Moore help his quarterback this week going up against a Cincinnati front that's pretty good with guys like Trey Hendrickson and others? How does Kellen Moore make you start to help out his quarterback this week?
Well, first and foremost, if he can get the guys not to false start, it would certainly help. When you get to
I don't think you're talking about Terrence Steele or anything like that, are you?
No, I wouldn't mention any names.
Okay, I'll just make sure. Just making sure.
First and 15, first and 20. All of a sudden, okay, you can run, right? Well, if I get 3, I get 5, I'm still short of a first down if it's first and 20. You can't put the quarterback behind the 8 ball like that, like they did in this game. And that was one of the reasons, you guys, they sort of got away from the run because it was always the first 6 possessions, if you include the penalty on the kickoff, they incurred a penalty. Every possession there was a penalty, and they're down in distance. They're behind the chains.
You know, and that's why I think, and it's water under the bridge. And I'm not going to ride this, but next year going into training camp, it's nowhere in the world we're going to have 22 starters, offensively or defensively, sitting over there on their hands.
Yeah.
Because this right here is where you get your fire. And preseason, yes, it's not as fast and as intense, but you need to hear your quarterback's voice. You needed to get up under the fire, even with the receivers. Everybody was out of sync. And, yes, it was penalties, but, boy, I'm going to tell you, once the Bucs went to putting pressure on us and went to really beating down on us, yeah, it intensified.
You know, you make a good point, Mickey. A great coach once told me, either you're allowing it or teaching it. And we're not teaching this, so we ain't allowing it.
Right.
Things like that. There was a documentary on 91, and you
Right.
talked about the situation with Philly, the first game.
Yes.
And about what Jimmy had said. Basically, you know, they gave up, 12 sacks in that game?
We did.
But the second game.
I said
we.
Collective
I
effort
said we.
on the sack.
You
You got
heard me,
that
Jeff.
Jim
particular
was
day.
trying to be polite. Come on.
He's hurting me.
But
yeah.
what happened the second game?
Yeah, we
That's
straightened
what
it
I
up.
said. You
Yeah.
straighten it up.
Yeah.
That's what they got to do. You got to take pride in what you do.
That's right.
I mean,
That's
you're
right.
a professional. You're a
That's
Dallas
right.
Cowboy. You're a Dallas Cowboy. You better take pride in what you're doing. And like Mickey said, those penalties shouldn't be allowed. There should be some kind of something to happen to you if you're getting this. I mean, that's going to kill us. To be the most penalized team again?
Yeah, that can't happen.
No,
It
it
can't
can't.
be a
Not
replay.
not with the talent that you have.
And defensively, one of the positive things that we saw on Sunday was Micah Parsons. If it had not been for 2 sacks by Micah Parsons, that thing really could have gotten out of hand against Tampa with the way that they were moving the ball inside the red zone where both of those sacks occurred for Micah Parsons. Jim, talk to me about that when it comes to the defense and what you saw from them against Tampa, specifically Micah Parsons, and what they can now do in terms of building on only giving up 19 to Tom Brady, now going up against Super Bowl runner-up quarterback Joe Burrow this coming week.
Well, the biggest thing is that they got to play hard. We all know that. That's a no-brainer. But somebody else has to step up. You lose Curse, and he'll be out for a while. And the next person, man, like we said on offense, is still the next man up. Guys got to make plays. We got to put our offense in situations where they can be successful. That's turnovers. They led the league in turnovers last year. Things of that nature. Now, you just can't be happy to do your job. You got to find a way to do a better job.
Mickey, does Micah Parsons step up in Dak's absence as now one of the leaders on this team, or has he already started to establish that in your mind based on not only his play from last year, but already beginning as the guy that defensively they're looking to this year?
Yeah, I don't, maybe on the defense, I don't know about the entire team.
Sure.
His personality is not like that. And I thought Zeke made a good point about that, about being a leader. Somebody asked Zeke the same thing, and he goes, you don't just go out there and say, I'm the leader. It's got to be organic. It just kind of develops, right? And so, he can lead by his example. He can lead by getting sacks. And by the way, thanks to Micah Parsons, your name came up in some weird stat that I would have never guessed. And I don't know if you saw it or you guys saw it, but they figured out that prior to yesterday's game, Jim Jeffcoat was tied, and Jimmy Jones were tied for the franchise lead in most multiple sacks in the first 2 seasons of their career. And now Micah yesterday got 4.
Yeah.
And he's got 16 games to build on that,
yes.
by the way. But I saw your name come up, and I said, wow, this is good timing for the show.
That's right. The most multi-sack games of the first 2 seasons of Cowboys history. Micah Parsons now with 4. Jimmy Jones, 1990 through 91 with 3. And Jim Jeffcoat, 1983 through 84, also had 3. So Micah Parsons breaking that record with his multi-sack game on Sunday evening. Before we go to break, Nate, tell me what a guy on the offensive line needs to do going up against a terrific front with the Cincinnati Bengals. And what are you seeing on film that concerns you about what you saw on Sunday that's got to get corrected by the time they get to Sunday afternoon?
Finish. These guys are not finishing. They're not playing through the whistle. You finish, guys don't leak onto your quarterback.
That's true.
Even if a guy get an edge on you, you finish through the whistle to keep the guys off your quarterback. These guys are not finishing on run plays. They're not finishing on pass plays. And that right there hurts your quarterback, and that stops you from getting that extra yard versus the run. These guys have to finish.
And when you look at a backup quarterback coming into a situation like this, what do you want to hear from your backup in terms of confidence, cadence? What do you want to hear from your backup when he gets into that huddle on the first drive on Sunday afternoon?
Fellas, we got this. Let's be confident. I'm going to do my job. I need for you guys to do your job, and we'll be okay. That's it.
Zach Martin commented on that, and he said, he goes, Cooper's kind of a real quiet guy.
Seems like a quiet guy,
Nice guy. He said, but when he gets in the huddle, he has a lot of fire, and he has a lot of confidence in what he's doing and what he expects everybody else to do.
That's true.
And that's what you need from your backup quarterback to, at least act like you know what you know.
Fake it till you make it, at least.
Right? Yeah,
at least.
Absolutely. Don't get in there and be mealy-mouthed when you start calling out the plays, right?
And you got to have some confidence because guys like Trey Hendrickson, Jesse Bates are waiting for you on that terrific Cincinnati defense, ready to get after you on Sunday afternoon. And now Cooper Rush will step into the limelight, and the stage will not be too big for him. Remember last year what he did on Sunday Night Football, was able to go to Minnesota, get a critical road win, and be able to help this team continue the momentum that they had at the beginning of the year. Now he gets to step in and do that on Sunday afternoon for the Dallas Cowboys. Dak Prescott out the next at least 4 to 6 weeks with that broken right thumb. Surgery was successful for him, and now he continues his rehab as he gets ready to try and help this team from afar be able to keep what they need to do going up against Cincinnati. It is Cowboys Crosstalk live from the Cowboys Club right here at the Star in Frisco. We are live on 1080 KRLD and on all Cowboys platforms. Mickey Spagnola, 3-time Super Bowl champion Nate Newton, 2-time Super Bowl champion Jim Jeffcoat. Gentlemen, when we come back, let's get into the game for Cincinnati and the Cowboys on Sunday and what they've got to do against the Cowboys, and more importantly, how did the Cowboys find a way to stop that combination between Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase? We'll talk about it next on Cowboys Crosstalk right here on 1080 KRLD.
From the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
It is Cowboys Crosstalk here live at the Cowboys Club, presented by SWBC Mortgage. Join the more than 120,000 customers that we've helped to find their happier way home. Visit SWBCmortgage.com to find a pro today. Kevin Gray of 105 through the fan, DallasCowboys.com insider, Mickey Spagnola, Nate Newton, Jim Jeffcoat, our Cowboys legend, joining us live on 1080 KRLD and on all Cowboys platforms. Gentlemen, as we were going into break, we were talking about getting ready for Cincinnati. The Cowboys coming off their opening week loss to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. No rest for the weary as they welcome in the defending AFC champion Cincinnati Bengals with the likes of Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, who was arguably the best rookie wide receiver in the NFL last year. When you look at what Cincinnati presents, they're coming off of a very disappointing loss at home to the Pittsburgh Steelers in dramatic fashion in Cincinnati. That's going to be an angry football team coming to AT&T Stadium on Sunday. Mickey, I'll start with you. What do you see from Cincinnati that's going to present the biggest problem for the Dallas Cowboys on Sunday afternoon?
Probably, judging from that first game, their defense is pretty good. I think everybody focuses on Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Mixon, but that defense is pretty good, and the Cowboys are going to have to be better offensively to create enough points to be able to deal with it. You know, you guys, but their offense, and we talked about it before the show started, Joe Burrow, they're going to carry him off the field on a stretcher pretty soon, much as he got hit. So the Cowboy defense needs to get to work.
And this is coming off of a year where he was sacked 70 times last year was Joe Burrow. Nate, talk to me about what you're wanting to see from this offensive line going up against a very good defensive unit in the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday.
And, you know, Kevin, this is going to be my mantra all year because people need to understand if these guys are not going to finish, you know, don't start because you're not finishing blocks. You're letting guys leak in. And you got Hendrickson, and you got the other kid, number 94. I can't think of his name. They are beasts.
Yeah.
What they do is they
Sam
wear
Hubbard
you down.
Yeah,
Sam Hubbard. They wear you down. They got BJ.
BJ Hill, yeah.
BJ Hill.
In the interior, yep.
They got some dudes that not explosive as far as making big plays early, but as the game go on, they wear you down. Henderson had, 10 sacks last year? He didn't get none in this past game, but they play a physical brand, and they keep coming at you and coming at you, and we're going to have to be sound in whatever we try to do.
So how do you feel about having to play the backup to the backup at left guard?
It's okay. It's okay. I'm looking at these guys. All they got to do, man, is play technique, get on the same page. You know, don't set yourselves up. The worst thing for these Dallas Cowboys is to be at the end of the game trying to throw the ball every down. And I'm not saying you have – I'm talking about a 60-40 split. I'm talking about sprinkle enough runs in there to give these kids a chance. I'm listening to everybody on the radio. Oh, replace steal. It's not that simple, fellas. You put Jason Peters in there, and you're going to get the same thing. I'm being honest.
And Jason Peters hasn't played right tackle in 16 years.
So
it's not that easy.
I'm begging folks, and I'm not saying – if we have 70 plays, I'm asking for 25 runs somehow, some way, and early in the game, not late. Early in the game just to make the linebackers stay up, to give our receivers a chance. Did you see the linebackers last week? They just sitting back there 15 yards deep. Okay.
Devin White,
yes.
Levante Davis just sitting there
we
in coverage.
Can't do that.
Yeah.
So. You know, I'm not going to go on that. Jeffcoat, you're the guest. Go ahead.
Now, Bessie, talk to me about how a defensive lineman looks at the likes of a rookie in Tyler Smith, the backup to the backup at left guard. As a defensive end, as a defensive interior player, what are you looking at
to
try
I'm
to take
looking
advantage
at is changing up on him. I'm going to give him different looks because he's not used to that. Maybe one time I'll run by him.
Right.
And he's going to run by me. As soon as he sits wide, then I'm going to run him over.
Right.
I'm going to always change up on him. I'm never going to give him the same look each time until I find his weakness. And once I find his weakness, I'm going to try to exploit that. That's what teams are going to start doing. They're going to exploit his weaknesses. But the kid played good now.
Yes,
he
did,
was
man.
not the issue.
Talking about Tyler Smith.
Yes. The kid, he played good for a rookie, and he was not the issue. The thing also is that what Nate is saying right, we got to shorten the game. We cannot have this be a long game and a lot of incomplete passes. You got to run it, and you got to learn how to knock people off the ball. And that should have been done a long time ago, but it hasn't. And you got to knock people and shorten the game because that's going to help the defense and the offense.
I'm telling people like this. I'm looking for a 30 minutes. And you know, I'm watching Tom Brady here. We can do this with screen games.
Yep.
As the way people pin their ears back on us, we should have a screen game that's
use that aggressiveness against them. Yeah.
I'm not saying we got to just turn around, hand it off to Zeke. No.
Yeah.
Quick screen game. We got to be more successful in our bubble screens. We missed 3 bubble screens, so we got to be more successful. What I don't want to see is triple, double, quadruple reverses.
No.
You know,
you're not ready for any trickery on Sunday. You're tired of the trickery, huh?
But the way,
feel that.
And also, they were saying CeeDee Lamb was getting double teamed. Move him. And if they want to do that, move him a little bit. Don't let him stay in one place. Put him in different positions and let him do it there.
This is the thing, Kevin, you guys. I talked to Michael Irvin his second or third year when he really became the guy. And he used to come to me, I was like, Irv, we sitting in the whirlpool. Irv, what's wrong, man? He would be sitting in a deep thought. Irv, what's wrong? He said, man, I got to get better on my routes. I got to move around a little bit more because being the number one, Nate, ain't simple.
No, it isn't.
He said,
no, it is not.
I am going to defend CeeDee Lamb up until the 8th game because it is work to become that number one guy.
Okay.
He should take out some film of Amari Cooper and say, okay, what did Amari do in this
100%.
situation? You know, and
professional route runner, Mark.
But they got to help him too.
They definitely. That's what I'm saying. It is a process, and you know what? Help Amari continue to be that number one because they had a real number two.
Yep.
We don't have a real number two, fellas,
Until Gallup gets back.
That's what I'm saying. Our other receivers are just receivers.
Or a number 3.
Yeah.
So let's stick on that for just a second. Obviously, CeeDee Lamb in the first game, as that true number one wide receiver, saw what it's like to have all the attention focused on him.
Right.
How now does he bounce back from that? And more importantly, now going forward, how does the rest of this group, whether it be a Dennis Houston, whether it be a Noah Brown, and all of these other guys, step up to be able to help Cooper Rush on Sunday, going up against what is a physical secondary that has a guy that knows his Cowboys organization very well, Cheeto Awuzie. That's right.
Let me say this.
Look, I'm going to go back to what you said. This is what's going to help CeeDee Lamb. If you saw where he had problems, it was because those linebackers were dropping deep. And it wasn't like they were double teaming him. They were just making
going to the ball.
Dak throw the ball over the linebacker, but inside the corner or the safety, which is difficult. I don't know if you guys remember that year the Cowboys went to Buffalo and Romo threw 5 interceptions in the first half.
Right.
Well, what they were doing is they were dropping their linebackers, and Romo was being stubborn. And it's like, okay, I can get it over the guy's head. And he couldn't get it over their head. And when you saw some of those passes going to CD, it looked like a bus station there. It was so crowded. I mean, there was 3 guys around.
Devin White
him.
was waiting a lot in that secondary.
And so if you go back to make the linebackers play the run and play action them, then you give him a chance to get maybe single coverage, right? And another thing came up with today in the press conference with Mike McCarthy. Somebody asked him about the young receivers having to deal with bump and run, like they were getting pressed. And he basically said, if you can't beat bump and run in the NFL, you don't belong in the NFL.
I agree.
And boy, that was an eye opener. But he's right with the young receivers; they got to get used to that. That doesn't happen in college, right? Because they're playing all these fancy zones and putting up the pictures and numbers and telling them what to do.
Spread them out offenses, all kinds of fun stuff.
This is a man's game now. You got to beat the bump and run.
I'm gonna tell you something. Dennis Houston, Simi Fehoko, our tight end, our starting tight end, Dalton Schultz. Brother, I'm gonna tell you something. When I know you, when I see you and prepare for you, it's a different world.
Yes.
And I try to tell people, I say, CD, it's going to take some time, but more importantly, until his other compadres join him in this fight, it's going to be ugly.
When you look at what the Cowboys need to do defensively, Jim, against the Cincinnati Bengals and the talented offense that they present with Joe Mixon, Joe Burrow, T. Higgins dealing with concussion right now, but they still got guys like obviously Jamar Chase. What do you want to see the Cowboys and Dan Quinn do to approach attacking Joe Burrow in the Cincinnati offense?
Well, the biggest thing is they got the same issues as the Cowboys, their offensive line. They got 3 new starters in their offensive line.
Including Leo Collins, former Cowboy
himself.
That's right.
And take advantage of that. And just like it was mentioned, Mickey mentioned before the show, he's been in the backfield, and they got I'm going to the ref. Mike McCartney's got to go to the ref beginning of the game. Hey, watch his alignment. He's too far back. And let them know and check their alignment. That's true.
No. I'm laughing. What Mike McCarthy got to do is like Coach Jones used to do, find out the first name, walk around with him, doing warm-ups, walk around with him, Hey, Jim, look here.
That's right.
Oh, Jim, he's in the backfield now, and they just doing it in practice. Oh, yeah. You got to have it so.
You're right, but you're right.
I'm serious. I agree with you 100%.
Introduce them early.
You're right.
Yes,
but that's the thing you got to do, and you got to do what Tampa did to the Cowboys last week. You got to be so aggressive, knocking these guys back.
Yes, sir.
Because they do have two good, Pirine and Mixon, and they have some talent, but force them to be uncomfortable. Not Mixon, but Barrows is a great quarterback, but he can't throw off his back.
No, he can't.
He can't throw when he's getting knocked down. He's got hit 11 times last week.
Sack 7.
Mm-hmm.
And they spent a bunch of money to fix that offensive line.
Exactly.
And it didn't look like it helped all that
I'm
much.
not sure they spent it
That's
wisely.
18 times.
That's right.
That's 18 times, fellas.
Yeah, but then Collins is going to be pumped up. Cheeto Bay, they're going to be pumped up to play the Cowboys.
Well, Collins better be ready for Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say.
Jeff,
Okay.
I'm going to tell you
he'll
something.
be over there with DeMarcus Lawrence,
Yeah.
correct?
No, it don't matter.
They can switch.
They're gonna be chomping at the bit. They're gonna be fighting. I'm gonna tell you something. I try to tell everybody this last year, Jeff. You know, when your hips begin to lock up on you, did I tell you last year? I said, Mickey, he's not the same guy. Those wrecks,
The
those
hips don't lie
injuries,
is what you're saying.
His hips. I'm telling you.
The hips don't lie.
Oh, man.
That's right. Yeah, that's what we're going to say.
They locked up, bruh. And that boy from Pittsburgh, if he wouldn't have got hurt, he'd have been the AFC Defensive Player of the Week, bro.
Oh, yeah, T.J. Watts.
Yeah.
So are you looking to attack Leo Collins specifically?
Looking.
Oh, yeah.
On Sunday?
Oh, no question.
That's what I'm saying. That's what
I'm
you're
telling you,
looking
they should have bits in our guys' mouth holding them back. But I'm saying they should be fighting. I'm serious. If I'm Parsons in number 90,
salivate.
Oh, yeah.
Come
You
on,
tag
man.
it. Hey,
They
it's
should
my
have
turn.
muzzles
It's
on them
my
guys,
turn.
man.
Yeah,
Come
shit.
on, man. I love Lyle. Mean
Tony-
as hell, but your hips is gone.
Don't
Tony
lie.
Tobert was the best at this.
Yeah.
He said, hey, we got us a mullet. We got to take care of this mullet.
I'm serious, man. I used to be Tobert roommate. I used to be like, man, what's happening, Tobert? Man, I hope Charles and I hope Jeffcoat will be trying to come on my side of here. I got a mullet. You know what I'm saying?
He got something for him.
As soon as he said that, that's where we were going.
Man.
So now with this team taking on the Cincinnati team, obviously you're looking for DeMarcus Lawrence, Micah Parsons. Give me an X factor on that defensive line, Jim, that needs to go out and have a big game as well to attack what is right now a suspect offensive line for Cincinnati. Anthony Barr. Okay.
Anthony Barr's got to come.
Okay.
And those interior guys, some of those interior guys have got to get pushed to give them the opportunity to get
So
there.
we're talking about the Gallimores of the world, the Oses of the world.
Yeah.
Okay.
Of course, they have to get pushed.
And add in Strong and DeMarcus because our interior last week started making the guys jump outside.
Exactly.
So we got to set that line and keep it strong across, and that gives our other guys a chance to kill.
Yep.
I'm saying if they set they let a lot of times by down blocks and shifts to throw them out of and if you can't set it. If you can't set it, man, and they get outside, they can hurt us.
Yep, they really can. They really can.
I'm telling you, man, you better put them. I will have a
Nate look like he ready to go out and play himself. He look like he ready to go out there himself and go handle some business.
If Jeffcoat looked at the film of this past game and saw what this kid for the Steelers was doing, Jeffcoat would be like, man.
It's my turn to go get some. Yeah.
I need some, right?
Yes.
Yeah, sure. You can't have it all.
Yeah. Yeah, man.
It is Cowboys Crosstalk presented by SWBC at SWBC. Customized solutions for individuals and businesses are just a click away. Visit SWBC.com to learn more and start your next adventure. Gentlemen, we're about to hit our next break. I want you to think about this question as we get ready to go to break here. When you look at the Cowboys and what they are in now and what they're dealing with going forward, how do they find a way to, by hook or by crook, get a win on Sunday and, more importantly, build some momentum without their franchise quarterback? Think about that question. When we come back on Cowboys Crosstalk, we'll discuss that. Mickey Spagnola, Nate Newton, our Cowboys legend, Jim Jeffcoat, live at the Cowboys Club. It is Cowboys Crosstalk live on 1080 KRLD and all our Cowboys platforms. We'll be right back.
Go Cowboys! Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in Frisco.
Back on Cowboys Crosstalk live on 1080 KRLD and on all Cowboys platforms, presented by SWBC Mortgage. Visit SWBCPEO.com, helping to alleviate all the HR administrative burden that comes with running a business. Leave the worrying to us. Visit SWBCPEO.com to find out more. Kevin Gray of 105 through the Fan, Dallas Cowboys insider, Mickey Spagnola, Nate Newton, and our Cowboys legend Jim Jeffcoat tonight, live at the Cowboys Club.
Yes, sir.
We appreciate Jim hanging out with us as we get you ready for the Cowboys taking on the Cincinnati Bengals. And gentlemen, as we were going to break, the question I wanted us to ponder on is, how do the Cowboys build momentum now without their starting quarterback in Dak Prescott, taking on the defending AFC champion Cincinnati Bengals, knowing how important, even with Game 2, this game is toward the rest of their season? Jim, I want to start with you. What does a win mean for this Cowboys team in light of everything that has taken place so far in just the first week of this season?
Well, it gives them confidence because it is a young team. It gives them confidence to know that they can overcome things. When you beat a team that's been in the Super Bowl, now you got a little bit of confidence. Hey, we can do this. We can get this done. We can hold the fort until Dak gets back. And that's the thing they have to do. They got to play with confidence. Hey, let the chips fall, but we're going to play confident. We're going to go out there and get it.
Nate, how does this team find a way, by hook or by crook, to get a win on Sunday?
One thing Coach Johnson told us, and even the great Coach Landry, is pre-snap penalties becomes because of indecision.
Yes.
Know your job, who you have to block, what's your assignment, and then it frees you to play fast. But if you got any doubt of what's happening, you don't listen to the play fully, and you definitely walking out of the huddle not knowing the snap count. We have to play almost penalty-free when it comes to pre-snap penalties. We have to play free. That means we have to spend extra time in the film room knowing exactly who we got. That's the bottom line for me.
Mickey, tell me, how do the Cowboys offensively, we'll start with, find a way to get after the Cincinnati defense on Sunday afternoon?
Yeah, I just think that they have to play smarter. I mentioned the penalties. You got to limit those. When you're up against it, you can't give them that big of an advantage. It makes it difficult on the play caller. Everybody wants to blame the play caller. I don't know a lot of guys that have really good 3rd and 12s. You know, it makes it
you got to go deep in the back of trips on 3rd and 12.
Yeah, and you got to stay away from that. And then defensively, and we hadn't talked about this, but they got run on for 151 yards, by the way.
I'm looking at one right now, man.
We sit here and worry about pass rush and getting to the quarterback, but if you don't stop the run, you don't get to rush the quarterback.
Question. No question.
And they ran, and Fournette had 127 yards. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, they were going for about 5.5 yards a pop, it felt like.
And
each
about
time.
80 of that was outside where we went.
And it was outside, and it was outside on the Cowboys' right, their left.
Yeah.
And they just kept doing student body left. And there was nobody there. You know,
that's the Dorrance Armstrong side and those guys right there on that right side for the
Honestly,
Cowboys.
I didn't want to say anything about that, but I saw one of the players from the Cowboys tackle another player from the Cowboys.
That's never good when you're tackling one of your own.
I know, it's not good. And the running back was running out there, just like you said. He was on the perimeter. You can't have that happen. You cannot have that.
I mean, they were pulling
You're right.
2 or 3 300-pound guys. And I heard somebody go, well, the reason they ran to that side because Diggs doesn't want to play the run. I said, a 200-pound cornerback against a 330-pound
I'm not trying to
offensive
play that
lineman.
either. Yeah, no thanks.
I'll stand there.
When people make those, Diggs is sitting back at 12 yards.
And he's playing off.
Yeah. So, come on. No. He done went like through 3 guys to get
to that spot,
Yeah.
Talk to me, Jim.
Now, what about one more thing?
Yeah.
What about when you see 2 tight ends in the game? How about playing 3 linebackers?
Yep.
Not an extra safety.
Yeah. Play the 4-3, yeah.
Because they probably want to load up and run against you, it seems like.
Makes sense.
Jim, when you see that kind of physicality being exhibited by the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and that defensive line being ran on against, what do you want to see from an adjustment from that mindset from that defensive line to eliminate a run game that's going to feature, as we mentioned, guys like Joe Mixon and others for Cincinnati on Sunday.
Well, go to this guy because
Yes,
he knew he had to set the edge.
Yes.
That was his
and
job.
that was the thing, is they got to force that where there's more players at, inside. And those players have got to get off of blocks. They cannot stay on blocks. The same thing you said, Nate, about finishing. You can't let those offensive linemen finish you.
That's right.
So you got to attack it. You got to attack it and make him make decisions quickly, the running back or whoever's running the ball. But you can't give up the edge because you're always going to have more people inside than outside.
Let's start to look at some keys to victory on Sunday for the Cowboys as they take on the Cincinnati Bengals. Let's start on the offensive side. Give me, Mickey, let's start with you, an offensive player that's got to step up on Sunday afternoon. We know the focus is going to be on Cooper Rush stepping in for Dak Prescott. Who's a guy offensively, though, that's got to find a way to make some plays to make this offense a little bit easier for him?
Okay, so it's easy to say Zeke, right? But no. Here's what they need. They need something explosive, right? But CeeDee Lamb's going to, okay, he's going to be the workman guy, right? I was hoping, and it's probably too soon because the guy hasn't played in the NFL before, but I'm going to put Turpin out there, and I'm going to tell him run as fast as you can down the field, and let me see if I can get a big play. They needed something explosive. Everything was underneath, and you know what?
Somebody to take the top off the defense.
Tampa Bay kept saying, well, we knew what they were going to do. Well, sure they did, because they knew they wanted to get the ball out quick in the passing game because they wanted to protect Dak because they had two young offensive linemen in there. And it's like, and they played their defense to that. Well, I need somebody to go downfield, and I don't care if it's an incompletion. Just throw the sucker, right? Throw it like Tom Brady did to Julio Jones. My Lord.
Give the illusion that you're actually going to attempt something.
And by the way, that was the play that Parsons got headhunted by Fournette.
Yes,
that's what gave him the time to get the ball down the field.
Nate, talk to me about a key to victory for this team offensively that they've got to do on Sunday against Cincinnati.
Our tight ends have to block better.
Okay.
Our tight ends have to block better, but more importantly, Dalton Schultz has to show up in that intermediate game. He has to show up in that intermediate game to give our quarterback a chance when they do throw the ball. Now, let me say this right quick. I'm not asking them to not throw the ball 40 times a game, but it's how you throw it and who you're throwing it to.
Let me ask you a question, and you make a good point on that with Dalton Schultz. I'm going to put another offensive lineman in there and put him at the tight end position and let him stop that.
Right.
And they can know we're running, but they better stop it.
You got enough offensive linemen to do all that?
See,
the way guys are going now, I don't know if we got enough offensive linemen to do all that.
So
I like what you're saying, but I don't know if we got enough guys down there doing that. I like where you're going, though.
I love your thoughts.
Here's the complication. The guy that did that for him last year had to start at guard because the guard had to move the tackle when they lost Tyron Smith, right? But their idea with Connor McGovern was to be that big tackle, the extra tight end, and play fullback, right? And so now he's got to play guard because the guard had to move the tackle, and now the guard's not there. So until Jason Peters gets there, you can go heavy with him, right?
Yeah, go heavy.
At least,
and he's heavy.
If nothing else, my man is heavy. If nothing else.
But I'm serious. You got to do something.
Yeah.
Because Dalton Schultz proved that he cannot physically handle it. I saw him in the backfield.
Yes.
I saw him get knocked in. So you need a bigger guy that can at least give you an opportunity to get a chance. And Zeke did a good job, I thought. I thought he did. But you got to help him, too. And that'll help Pollard, too, in his situation.
I was about to say, you brought up a name that we hadn't really talked about yet that kind of concerns me because we haven't brought him up yet, and that's Tony Pollard. How does Tony Pollard find a way to affect this game, given what you may need to have from Zeke in terms of some pass protection and being able to help out in terms of the offensive line? What can you do with Tony Pollard to be able to help him out as well?
Well, I'll tell you what. Tony Pollard only played 2 less snaps than Zeke. He was out there. But if you start blitzing and he's your nickel back, he's got to be able to pick up the blitz. He's got to recognize it first and then be able to pick it up. Otherwise, I can't have him out there.
Yeah.
Not in those situations.
A long time ago, this is, ancient times and everything. But
now be careful because we're all been there with you.
But they had 2 backs in the game. You can always put Tony Pollard in the slot and utilize his skills in the open field and have Zeke be the blocker That's the thing you can do. Use your best players and put them in positions to be successful.
We just talked about Pollard. We're looking at the film.
Well, hold that thought.
Yeah.
We're going to take our last break.
Yeah.
We're going to get our predictions for Sunday. We're going to find out what Jim's been doing these days. And we're going to close this thing out. It's Cowboys Crosstalk live on 1080 KRLD.
Close your eye, Jim. Close your eye, baby.
Go Cowboys! SWBC Mortgage's Cowboys Crosstalk.
Check this out.
Broadcasting live from the Cowboys Club at the Star in
Coach Landry
Frisco.
wouldn't let that happen.
No. Coach
Final
Landry
segment
called
right
the
here on Cowboys Crosstalk presented by SWBC Mortgage. Kevin Gray, Dallas Cowboys insider Mickey Spagnola, Nate Newton, and our Cowboys legend Jim Jeffcoat live from the Cowboys Club right here on KRLD 1080 and, of course, on all Cowboys platforms. Gentlemen, before we get out of here on our show tonight, I need predictions going into Sunday afternoon. The Dallas Cowboys live. I believe CBS will be on the call. That means Jim Nance, Tony Romo will be in the building on Sunday afternoon. Let's see. Tell me, Mickey, how did the Cowboys win? What's the score going to be? And who wins on Sunday afternoon?
Oh, boy, you're asking really tough questions now. This was real friendly
before that. This the million-dollar question right here. That's right.
Can I say I have no clue what's going to happen in this game?
Now, we can't let you off that quickly, Mickey, now. You're
thought,
the insider. You're the expert here. You help us out here.
I thought they could beat Tampa Bay. I thought they play well defensively enough that they could scrounge up enough points to win. Well, they nearly played well defensively enough, and they couldn't score any points. And now you got to do it without Dak Prescott. So this is going to be tough sledding for them. But to win, the defense has to hold Cincinnati to no more than 17 points.
Okay.
And they got to stop the run. And then figure out how to score some points so you can score 20 and win 20-17.
Nate, how does Cooper Rush help this offense score those 20 points on Sunday afternoon?
You know, we're going to muddy it up, man. We're going to get real hoggish and get in that pen and wallow in the mud. We're going to be ugly. We're going to play great defense.
Dirty.
We're going to have a lot of screens, a lot of quick passes, a few runs. And then we're going to muddy it up, man. At the end of this thing, in the fourth quarter, that we got to either be up by 3 points or down by 3 points and give our kicker a chance to win the game.
Give Brett Maher a chance.
Which, speaking of that, by the way, make them kick field goals because they lost their deep snapper last week.
That's right.
How do the Cowboys introduce that kind of physicality on Sunday, Jim?
They got to just come out and be ready. They're in a situation where they got to either go the direction they want to go or they're going to go the other direction. So I'm looking at it as – I wanted to say 2017, but since Mickey said that.
Great minds think alike. It's okay. It's okay.
But I'm going to say 24-20.
Okay.
24-20.
Cowboys.
Yes, Cowboys.
Okay. Look, I think it's going to be a lot of fun to see at least this defense get after Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase. I want to see the matchup between Trayvon Diggs, Jamar Chase. That's going to get your popcorn ready on Sunday afternoon. That's going to be a lot of fun. But more so for me, how does Dan Quinn deploy Micah Parsons, DeMarcus Lawrence, all of these guys, and getting after what was a suspect offensive line last week against the Pittsburgh Steelers? What do they do to create that kind of pressure and make things uncomfortable for Joe Burrow? If you can get him uncomfortable, I think you have a chance on Sunday afternoon in LA.
You just got to move Parsons around. You can't leave him.
Different looks, yeah.
So, you know, when we were talking about they ran left, a lot of times when they were running left,
he was the other
Parsons
side.
run the other side. And that's asking a lot from your very talented linebacker playing defensive end to get all the way across the field, and he did it. But they can run at him. They can isolate him if they know he's at defensive end all the time, to me. I think he's more valuable as a linebacker, and then you put him in spots where he can rush the quarterback, but don't designate him right away. I'm the defensive end. They put a tight end over there, the tackle over there, and they neutralize him, right? When he got his sacks, he was in one-on-one pass rush.
Yes.
Unless they were chipping him.
Before we get out here this evening, Jim, let the folks know what you got going on these days in the last couple minutes, and let us know what you're doing out here these days.
I'm a partner in this insurance company, and it's called Bellis Insurance Group. We do major medical, we do commercial, residential, auto, all these things, and wealth management. So that's what I do with my days now.
Well, that's awesome to hear. It sounds like you're helping a lot of people and doing so in a lot of different ways. And obviously, we appreciate you spending some time with us. Obviously, the Cowboys getting ready to take on the Cincinnati Bengals on Sunday. I guess I got to give my score if I'm going to ask all you guys to give. I guess I got to give one myself.
Yeah, you better.
I guess I'm going to go Cowboys 24, Cincinnati 21. Cooper Rush, I think, is going to turn back the clock like he did last year. Find a way. CeeDee Lamb has got to be that dude. He's got to be that number 88 that Nate was talking about earlier. This is an opportunity to do it against a guy that knows the Cowboys well, and Chido Awuzie. Can he get out there and make some things happen against a terrific defense for the Cincinnati Bengals? I think Cooper Rush is going to rise up on Sunday, find a way to get it done, because they need to find a way to get a win on Sunday. Otherwise, it could get ugly starting off 0-2 as you get ready to go on the road to take on an inspired New York Giant football team coming off of a terrific win on the road themselves against the Tennessee Titans in Week 1.
You got to hope that the Cowboy fans haven't sold all their tickets to the Cincinnati people.
Oh, no, Mickey. Come on now. We can't have – look, it's already –
There was a lot of red in that stadium on Sunday.
Yeah, don't remind me. I was there. I saw a lot of red going around. I saw a lot of people with their Tampa Bay Bucs jerseys. Hopefully there's not a lot of Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase jerseys running around on Sunday afternoon. Because those Cincinnati Bengals fans are going to be loud and proud and ready to cheer on their Bengals. Gentlemen, appreciate you joining us on this first episode of the 2022 NFL season on Cowboys Crosstalk, presented by SWBC. We want to make sure we thank our partner also. Liberty Tax is a proud partner of the Dallas Cowboys. Schedule an appointment at libertytax.com/Cowboys. We will be back next week right here live from the Cowboys Club at 7 o'clock.
Yes, sir.
On 1080 KRLD. I want to appreciate our Cowboys legend, Jim Jeffcoat, stopping by and hanging out with us here at the Cowboys Club. Jim, terrific stuff on the evening. Really appreciate you, and hopefully we'll get a chance to do it again as the season goes on.
Yes.
So for Jim Jeffcoat, the three-time Super Bowl champion, Nate Newton, our Dallas Cowboys insider, Mickey Spagnola. My name is Kevin Gray of 105 The Fan. This has been Cowboys Crosstalk live on 1080 KRLD, live from the Cowboys Club. Y'all have a good night. Be good to each other. We'll talk to you later.
This has been a production of DallasCowboys.com and the Dallas Cowboys Football Club.
How about this, Cowboys? Yeah!